So Beetlejuice is the sequel to Beetlejuice, and once again directed by Tim Burton and starring Michael Keaton as the ghost with the most. In this movie, Lydia Deetz, once again played by Winona Ryder. She is this widow. She has this daughter played by Jenna Ortega. Lydia has been experiencing some supernatural things. She's seen some visions of Beetlejuice once again. However, shit with Beetlejuice once again gets real when her daughter gets into some shit with the spirit world, the purgatory, the land of the dead. What do they call it in this universe? The afterlife, whatever they want to call that. Now Lydia's gonna save her daughter, and she needs to summon Beetlejuice to help her to do that. I think the first Beetlejuice is great. It's funny, it's spooky, it's unique, it's weird, and it's just a fun time. Wasn't the type of movie you ever figured needed a sequel, but apparently this is something that's been in development for evidently a very long time, nearly 40 years. And thus, here we are. So yeah, immediately I'll just touch on the obvious here. Michael Keaton, once again, is just awesome here. I mean, this guy is in his 70s, and in back-to-back years, he's come back to play two characters that he's probably most well known for. I mean, he came back to play Batman and the Flash, and now he's back as Beetlejuice. And honestly, you never would have guessed Michael Keaton's in his 70s. He comes in, he clocks into work, and he is as good here as he was in the original Beetlejuice. I mean, his wit, his timing, his charisma, just everything he puts into this performance, he's once again fantastic. Similar to the first Beetlejuice, he's not in the movie for very much, but when he is on screen, he steals every scene he is in. Also, Winona Ryder coming back as Lydia Deetz, I actually enjoyed her in this movie. I know some people don't like that she kind of strayed away a little bit from the character that she was in the original Beetlejuice. You know, then she was more gothic, she was more stoic. Now she's kind of the worried mother a little bit more. But that didn't really bother me too much. I mean, now she's older, she's been through some shit with the spirits and ghosts and Beetlejuice, obviously, from when she was younger. Now she has a daughter, she's lost her husband, she's been through some shit. So, seeing her the way she is now, I didn't think it was unbelievable. But yeah, the other stand on this movie that I need to talk about is Jenna Ortega. I've really been getting on board with her lately. She's quickly established herself as a great actress, especially in these horror-esque sort of roles. But I think her character works really well here. I love the dynamic between her and Lydia. You know, you feel in a strange relationship there that's supposed to be mended. But with Jenna Ortega's character, Astrid herself, I thought she was really good. She has that deadpan sort of manner, that personality to herself, which kind of leads to some really good comedic timing. She, you know, just says a bunch of very sarcastic shit that leads to very dry humor. I mean, she's that skeptic you have to have in this movie that doesn't really believe in the spirit world, and along the way, she's kind of just completely convinced into it because of shit that goes down. Going into this movie, I felt like she would be a great addition to this movie, and she absolutely was. Also, yeah, it's great going back into that spirit sort of realm, sort of area in the cosmos, whatever we want to refer to that as. It's great to be back there. It brings for some nostalgia. But I also want to say, I really love this movie's use of practical effects once again. Because obviously with the original Beetlejuice, that's what they relied on. That's what they used. CGI was not very big back then. Now CGI is a very big thing. But I like that Tim Burton went back to those roots. Gave it a little bit of that old-fashioned sort of vibe. It made it feel a lot more like Beetlejuice. If they just CGI'd everything, it wouldn't really feel like that. So yeah, I appreciate Tim Burton for understanding what this movie needed and sticking by that. And also, yeah, did this movie make me laugh? Is this movie funny? Yes, it made me smile, it made me laugh. Its humor, for the most part, did well. There are a couple jokes in here that don't really hit with me, and the movie does that sort of thing where it's like it has a joke and it kind of stretches it for a little longer than it needed to be. I think the problem for me is like some of the jokes that did not hit with me were the ones that kept going, so that just made the scenes feel a lot longer. So that's really all depending on your humor right there. I mean, how funny do you find it and how long are you going to find it funny for? Also, getting into some other flaws I have with this movie. Okay, Catherine O'Hara is back in this movie. And in this one, I feel like they kind of just made her a complete and total cartoon. I mean, in the first Beetlejuice, she was that eccentric personality, you know, that very artistic sort of vibe that's going on with her, for sure. She's a little over the top, but she was supposed to be, and it worked for the first Beetlejuice. In this one, they amp it up quite a bit with her character to the point where it was just ridiculous with her. I mean, she's freaking out, like, to an obnoxious extent. She's going through a bunch of ridiculous stuff. Like, it feels like she was having like a midlife crisis, even though the woman's what, like 70? I mean, the movie's trying to be funny, and I get it. This sort of eccentric personality really worked for Catherine O'Hara and stuff like Schitt's Creek or something like that. But here, it just felt like a little too much, to the point where I was just annoyed with her. Not only was I annoyed with her, but I kind of walked out of the movie, I was like, did she even really need to be in here? I mean, it felt like she was just here because she was in the first one. Also, other characters, Justin Theroux's character, yeah, he annoyed me as well. He's meant to be this, you know, boyfriend to Lydia Dietz, but I don't know, he was ridiculous, he was annoying, he didn't really bring any humor, really anything fun to the movie itself. Yeah, again, he's just another character I didn't think needed to be in this movie, and I think that's the biggest problem with the movie itself. It has so much going on. It's typical sequelitis. It's like, we have a sequel, we need to do more, we need to put more in here, and the movie just put way too much in this movie. I mean, there's a whole side story. Jenna Ortega's character, she meets this teenage boy, she starts developing a romance, a relationship with him. I mean, Lydia's getting engaged to her boyfriend, and she's not really thrilled about being engaged to that guy, you know. Beetlejuice comes back into the land of the living. He's got this, like, spirit wife that was a part of a cult that's hunting him. Willem Dafoe plays like this deceased actor who's become like a detective of some sorts that's going after Beetlejuice's ex-wife. There's like a family tragedy that happened that they're sort of touching on with, you know, Lydia Dietz and her daughter, and that's why they're estranged. It's just so much going on. And not only is it so much going on, but there are certain plot points that I felt they could have touched on a little bit more, and they didn't really. And then there were other plot points that I didn't think even need to be in this movie at all that were a big focal point. So yeah, not only did the movie have a lot going on, but it focused too much on the stuff that I don't think needed to be in here. I mean, look at the original Beetlejuice. The premise for that is very simple. You have this couple, the couple dies, they become spirits in the house, this new family moves into the house, they don't want this family living in this house, they bring in Beetlejuice to help scare this family away. Simple movie. I feel like if this movie took a much more simple route and just took one of those many subplots and just focused on one, we would have a great sequel to Beetlejuice. Instead, part of me feels like Tim Burton's like, okay, this is the one and only sequel we're gonna get for Beetlejuice. We probably can't do another one of these because everyone's just gonna be too old by then, so I'm just gonna take every idea I've ever had for a Beetlejuice sequel, just cram it into this. So all in all, it's an enjoyable sequel. Michael Keaton hasn't lost a step whatsoever. It's great to see him back as this character. He's hilarious. He's great on screen. He steals every scene he's in. I love seeing him back as this character. He fucking owns it as Beetlejuice once again. Jenna Ortega was a great addition to this movie. I thought she brought a lot as a character with her humor, her personality, the character that she played. Winona Ryder, it was good to see her back again. Love that the movie stayed with what worked with the first movie in its practical effects, how the Land of the Dead looked. It has humor in this movie that's mostly effective. Once again, the music in this movie I thought was good. They got a few characters in here that are really over the top. They've got a bunch of storylines that I didn't think they needed to focus on as much. And in the end, it's like this. If you're a fan of Beetlejuice, you will probably enjoy this movie. If Beetlejuice wasn't for you, I know there's some people out there that weren't super into that movie, then yeah, this movie's not going to win you over either. But like the first Beetlejuice, it captures that blend of comedy and spooky elements just enough to potentially really get you in that mood for spooky season, and that ain't nothing. So that's all I'm going to say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video, and as always, don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time.